The sky was beginning to turn pale as the city of Jerusalem awoke to a day that would never be forgotten. The cries of the crowd still echoed through the narrow streets. In the dusty courtyard of the Roman governor's palace, the centurion announces the sentence to Jesus. The crowd murmurs anxiously as he proclaims the punishment. "You are to be crucified," he states, his voice like gravel crunching underfoot. "Crucify him! Crucify him!" The decision had been made. Pontius Pilate had washed his hands of Jesus, handing him over to the Roman soldi. In the courtyard of the Praetorium, the smell of sweat and blood mingled with the cold morning air. The lashes had already torn his skin, leaving deep wounds that bled uncontrollably. His tunic, now soaked in blood, clung to his thin, weakened body. Jesus' eyes were downcast, but his soul remained steadfast. Two Roman soldiers approach with the wooden cross. They drop it before Jesus' feet with a heavy thud. One soldier, with a smirk, nudges Jesus with the end of his spear. "Take it," he commands, his tone laced with disdain. Jesus, despite his wounds, bends down slowly and takes hold of the cross, his hands trembling. The sun is relentless, pouring heat onto those gathered. Jesus adjusts the cross on his shoulders, grimacing at the sharp pain that runs down his back. Mary, his mother, watches from the edges of the crowd, her eyes filled with tears, but her face resolute in silent support. As they begin to walk, the throng of people shuffle alongside. Some mock, others weep. "The King of the Jews," a voice shouts sarcastically from the masses. Sweat drips down Jesus' face, mixing with the blood, yet his eyes remain focused on what lies ahead. A sudden falter in his step. Jesus stumbles under the weight of the cross, knees hitting the scorching ground. A hush falls over some of the crowd, as a soldier grumbles and yanks him back up roughly. "Keep moving, or we'll drag you," the soldier scolds impatiently. They near the city gates. The air is thick with dust and the echo of footsteps. As they pass through, a sense of foreboding casts its shadow over the onlookers. Some women openly weep, calling out for Jesus. "We mourn for you," a voice cries out, filled with sorrow. The climb to Golgotha begins. The path is steep and treacherous. Jesus' breathing is ragged, but there's a strange strength in his eyes. A little ahead, two condemned criminals catch sight of him, exchanging glances of grim recognition. Finally reaching the hill, the soldiers grow visibly impatient, eager to finish their grim task. The centurion surveys the scene, issuing orders. Jesus, now barely able to stand, gazes at the heavens, whispering a quiet prayer as the cross is laid down before him for the last time. The soldiers brought the cross. Heavy, "There is the king," mocked a Pharisee. "Where is your power now?" Jesus did not answer. He simply followed, one step after another, the cross getting heavier and heavier. The soldiers had no patience. Whips cracked in the air, striking his already destroyed back. "You there." The soldier pointed. "Take the cross." Simon's eyes widened, frightened. "I? Now?" Hesitantly, Simon walked towards Jesus. He saw the state of the man in front of him. A face covered in blood and sweat. She gently wiped it over his forehead, his cheeks, his wounded mouth. He looked into her eyes, and for a moment, all the pain seemed to disappear. "Thank you," Jesus murmured weakly. The soldiers pulled her away abruptly. She fell to her knees, clutching the cloth to her chest. When before them, their armor clinking like a funeral bell. Mary's eyes brimmed with unshed tears, her heart breaking with every stumble of her son. Above, the hill stood like a throne of sorrow, waiting to crown pain with nails and wood. The wooden cross weighed like the sin of the entire world, crushing his already wounded shoulders. Each step felt like an eternity, and pain was a constant companion, whispering for him to give up. As the scorching sun cast long shadows on the dusty path, Jesus walked with both pain and determination, carrying the weight of the cross on his shoulders. The shouts and jeers of the crowd filled the air, but none of the noise could drown out the silent, internal dialogue. Portrait of pain and love, and as she pushed her way towards him, their eyes locked. "Oh, my son," Mary said, tears glistening in her eyes, her voice trembling with sorrow. "Remember, you are the light. Your strength is eternal." Jesus nodded, a small, faint smile playing on his lips, offering her the only comfort he could muster. "Mother, my time has come to fulfill what I was chosen for." Own agony, turned slightly towards them. Speaking to the repentant one, he said softly, "Truly, I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." As the grueling journey progressed, each step seemed an eternity. Sweat mixed with blood from the crown of thorns adorning Jesus' brow, carving tiny rivers down his face. The hill of Calvary stood intimidatingly close now. Upon reaching the summit, the Roman soldiers seized Jesus, tearing away his garments and exposing him to the unforgiving sun. The fabric of his tunic split in their rough hands, leaving him bare. Jesus lay back on the cross, the rough wood biting into his skin. The end of this path isn't yet far, far from his mind. The crowd gathered around, awaiting the hammer's fall. In this moment of silence, the world seemed to hold its breath, a moment suspended in time, laden with both impending tragedy and unfathomable hope.